I told myself I'm just gonna pick up the camera and start recording, so that's exactly what I'm gonna do because I wanna get my story out there. So, hi everyone, my name's Lexi and I'm a runner, and today I would like to share with you guys my running journey, how long I've been running, kind of more of some tidbits because I've been wanting to kind of share my running experience online a little bit more, but I'm just not sure where to start. And I have a lot to say, so buckle up, I guess, because we're gonna start back at the beginning. The year is 2008, and my dad always used to take us to the gym. In 2008, I was 8 years old, and I was in like a lot of sports when I was little. I was in dance, I was in tennis, golf, basketball, soccer, but nothing was like super sticking. Like I would say my main sport when I was 8 was dance, just because my aunt owns a dance studio. So anyways, my dad one Sunday took me and my sister to the gym. Our little local gym had like a track around it where 10 laps equaled a mile. And my dad at the end of the workout, we were doing like curls, like calf raises as like 8-year-olds, just because it was just quality time with my dad. And he's like, oh, like I have a twin sister, you girls go run around the track, let's see how fast you can go. So we went around, we timed ourselves, and we did a couple repeats of it. And I remember this so vividly. And after that, I was like, wow, that was so fun. And then my dad would have us like race around the block or run back and forth from to the stop sign just as like an after dinner thing. And I just really liked the competition piece. Fast forward to 4th grade, I was 10. So 2010, I signed up for like track and field through the church called CYO. Okay, so I did CYO track from 4th to middle school, because then once you hit middle school, you know, like track and field and all that stuff was offered at like my public middle school. So then I just did that. But I will say I started off as a sprinter. So when I was like from 1st through 7th grade, I was like, I love sprinting. I did the 100 and the 200 and I loved it. I really liked the competitive aspect and how I was never really good at like team sports. I wasn't really coordinated enough either. Like I really wanted to be good at soccer, but I just wasn't. Like the coordination that I just don't have. And then dance, I'm such a stiff person. The only reason why I guess I really did dance for as long as I did dance until I was 13, was because my aunt owned the studio and I liked going and I liked the people there and I liked my instructors. Like it was a fun Wednesday night activity. And honestly, I will say, I think I have really good arches. Like I have a pretty high arch, and I think ballet for that. Anyways, the years, you know, go by with me as a sprinter from 4th through 7th grade, 100, 200 heavy. I could probably find how fast in my times and stuff from that age. I would love to know. And honestly, I also was a swimmer. I was a competitive swimmer from 4th. Actually, no, as soon as I could sign up, I did. So probably from when I was like 8 years old until sophomore year of high school, I did competitive swimming. So also take that into effect. But I really liked just being able to compete for myself. So that's where running and swimming kind of came in. So middle school track hit, I still was like, I'm a sprinter. So 7th grade, I still have my Lucky Sports bra to this day. When I was in middle school, like that's the first sports bra I ran when I qualified for the SWC championships individually in the 100. And the 4x1. I was so proud of myself. I was so excited. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe I've made it. And I just remember that meet very vividly. And I was like, I want to get better. So 8th grade rolled around. I think I messed around in like the 200 and the 400 a little bit more. I sometimes ran like a few miles around the block for fun, but my very first running watch was a Garmin Forerunner 55 or something. So basic, and I think I still have it. It was green. It was my twin sister had the pink one. I don't know, but we would sometimes run around the block and it was fun, but I always ended up getting a cramp. I did my first 5K 8th grade summer. So going into high school, I ran my first 5K, and it's probably still on my Instagram somewhere. I think I ran like a 22:40. I feel like that rings a bell. And I remember I was so nervous that I'd get a cramp, because anytime I tried to run around the block longer than like a sprint or for a long time, I'd always get the god-awful side cramp. I don't know what to do. But on that day, I remember I even took a wrong turn and I still ended up beating my twin, which was like, heck yeah, on the day. But once I realized that the 5K was kind of fun, I was like, oh, I like this. I like this. So, you know, 8th grade track season comes and goes. I'm going into high school. I don't do cross country because I wanted to focus on swimming, because for my first 2 years of high school, I did swim team during the winter. So during the fall, I joined a club team and I was swimming in the fall. So I was focused on swimming. Track came around, focused on sprints again, the 100, the 200, the 400. The 400 I really found to be so fun. Like as I got older, I was like, oh, this is difficult. And I liked the challenge and it was fun. We had a really good group of girls in high school that were really fun to train with too. So it was fun to compete against them at practice and then out like at an actual track meet. So I think my freshman year, I wasn't really that good, like at all, but I ended up qualifying for conference in the 100. I didn't make it past prelims. And then the 4x1, I was the third leg, which I think in hindsight was the weakest leg, but I was just happy to be there. Ignorance is bliss. And then I think I ran the open 200, but I did not qualify past prelims. Like I wasn't amazing. And then I remember after the district championships freshman year, my coaches and my friends came up to me and they were like, you should try cross country. Like, what are you doing in the fall? And I was like, well, I swim. And they were like, no, like do cross country. So that was that summer, you know, I started cross country practice and I was not that good, like really at all. I think I made top 14 overall. Like I was always within that range on the team. So sometimes I ran varsity. Most of the time I ran JV for my first season of cross country when I was a sophomore in high school. It was super fun. I loved all my friends. I loved just like getting outside and just running around. And honestly, I think I walked a lot of the races my sophomore year. Like I don't think I was really good. I think I ran a better time during my first 5K, like the year or 8th grade going into freshman year, than I ever did during my sophomore cross country, like actual season. I just thought it was so fun. And I don't know, just like the park and the sun, and sometimes I'd walk the cool down, you know, like after a workout, but that was the first time where I realized like, oh, this is actually like super tough though. Like you really do have to dial in, like when you do those longer workouts, like the tempos or the repeats, it's like, oh shoot, this is tough. But we then transitioned into indoor track season. A couple of my friends and I, we got together with our high school coach and we were like, we really want to do indoor track. So we started just going to meets, just like 5 or 6 of us, I think in total of like our high school team. And we would go and we would compete a few times in the winter and we would train in the hallways. And I really liked the 400. I was really dialed in on the 400 in all honesty. Everything else, I kind of like knew it just wasn't in my wheelhouse anymore. Like the 100, I wasn't that great. The 200, no. But the 400, I was like, I can succeed at this. So we really dialed in as a team that year in the 400 and we ended up doing really well in indoor season. It's my cat, sir, if you see a cat. And then by the time outdoor came around, we ended up making it to states. And was that sophomore year or junior year? I can't even remember. Sophomore year, yeah, sophomore year we made it to 4x4 states outdoor, and that was the first time like anyone's really gone to state in like forever at our high school. And now it's like a common occurrence. Like everyone is so good, and I have the opportunity to coach the middle school cross country team this year at my middle school I went to. So I'm super excited because our school now is like a great running program and just it's so full circle. It's so cool. But anyways, yeah, we made a state that year. We broke the school record that hadn't been broken since like 1979 or something. I think our time in the 4x4 was like 3:54, something like that, like, or 3:52. It was one of those. I think it was 3:54. Yeah, it was 3:54. And we were also, I mean, that's still such a great memory to this day. And I remember I ran like a random 800 because they needed someone in the 4x8, and they were like, oh, you're not terrible. I think I got like a 232, and I was like, okay. And mind you, I wasn't really, I was doing zero distance training besides cross country, but I only really did cross country to get in shape for swimming and then for track. But after my sophomore year of swimming in the winter, I was like, I'm done. Like, I don't know. It was, honestly, swimming is arguably tougher than running. Like, oh my God. But my main stroke was butterfly. That was my stroke, okay? It was so fun. And then the IM. Honestly, you tell me right now to go do a 100 butterfly, a IM, and then 2 relays, I'm gassed. I don't know how that was like a weekly occurrence. And then the practices don't, okay. But we're not talking about my swimming journey, we're talking about running. But yeah, so sophomore year ends, we made it to state. We didn't even do well at states, but we didn't care. We were so happy to be there. And I live in Ohio, and I feel like we were Division I, and that was against like Abby Steiner. Like she was the Ohio, if you know who that is. If not, she's a really good professional track runner. I think she signed with Adidas or Puma. One of those, maybe neither. I don't know. But yeah, so sophomore year ends up, I was like, yeah, we're so pumped. I'm so excited. So I was really riding a high going into junior year of cross country. And honestly, that was 2016 summer, I think. And it was just a great freaking summer. I had so much fun and training with all my friends for cross country. I started to take it a lot more seriously, in all honesty, because I was like, maybe I can run in college. So took it really seriously. I did pretty well, got on varsity. Nothing to write home about. Like, I was not like a Division I college athlete, scout or anything, but I did well for myself. I think I went around like 20 minutes most races, which in my mind was great. My main goal always was to break 20 minutes, and I did not my junior year season, but it was always the goal. And I remember at our regional race, it was at Boardman, Ohio, and there was a couple hills that like would really get me, and I ended up like getting like heat stroke or something. Like, I remember coming down like the finishing little like loop to the end, and I was like feverish and so sweaty and so hot, and it was kind of cold that day, but it was a fun season. Indoor season that year also went really well. I started to do the 400. I think I did an 800 that year, and then by the time that outdoor season came around, the 400 I was still actively running. I would get around like 58 seconds for my 400, and then I really started to race the 800. That was so fun. That was, looking back, it's such a hard race, and I'm like, why was that niche? But you know, we ended up doing really well. We got a 4x8 team together. The 4x8 team ended up going to states, and we were one spot away, I think, from qualifying for 4x4 for states that year, but we made it in the 4x8, so we were really excited. Again, like, not a common occurrence for our team to go to states, let alone consecutively 2 years in a row, with most of the same girls ended up actually going to like the 4x8 and the 4x4 from the year prior, me and my twin, and then 2 other girls that year. And we ended up breaking the school record. It was so exciting. Like, again, high school is just, God, if you're a high school runner watching this, it's so exciting, and you'll never get those experiences again. And I don't know how much like the pandemic and COVID kind of changed the dynamic, but it was so fun. So going into my senior year, you know, again, riding that high from like, yeah, moving to state, I really wanted to run in college. So I was like super avid on training, and, you know, again, like, I'm not anything to write home about. I'm not running 17-minute 5Ks. I'm running 20s, if I'm lucky, 19:30. So again, going to cross country season, I was like, you know, I'm going to contact some college coaches. So I ended up reaching out to a few schools, and I really reached out to Slippery Rock University in Pennsylvania. I contacted the coach, Coach Pap, and I filled everything out, and I was like, I really want to run for you. So I ended up taking a visit there my senior year season, like pretty early on, and he was like, yeah, we would love to have you. I got a little bit of money for it. I was like, awesome. I don't even know where Slippery Rock, Pennsylvania was on the map, but there I was. I was going to Slippery Rock. I was running cross country and track and field. I was so excited. And again, am I anything to write home about in cross country in high school? Hell no. But it was so fun to be able to train with my friends and my sister, and, you know, I ended up getting injured. Oh God, I forgot about that. I ended up getting a stress fracture in my foot. I remember I played tennis like the night before on like a hard surface, and I wore Nike Roches at the time. They were all black, and I went and played tennis after a hard workout that day. It was like 90 degrees in September. It was an all grass workout, and like not good grass, like divots everywhere at like the local community college. And I went and played tennis, and then I woke up the next morning and I couldn't walk, and I was like, oh, okay. And then I ended up having to be in a boot for 2 weeks, but I missed like the championships races of the season, which was really upsetting. I came back for regionals. Somehow I was able to run regionals, even though I didn't run districts or conference, but I remember I ran regionals, and I was like, okay. I know I didn't finish last, like out of 7, but again, it was the same course. It was Boardman, not great. The hills always really got me there. There's like the one specific one that doesn't look like a hill, but hell yeah, it's a hill. Hell yeah. And then, you know, that season ended, and I think I was pretty like fine with it. I was like, hell yeah, I'm going to college. Senior year indoor season went really well. I ended up doing pretty well considering we only would race at like a few small races in Ohio, but fun, always fun. I really just like training through the winter. It was something to do. We would have night practices out in Oberlin, Ohio, and we would all go and we just kind of like mess around and have fun, run some repeats, and it was great. Outdoor season came around, again, was really just focusing on the 800. Sometimes I ran the mile. I think I did like once. I think I got like a 550, and it was like a random dual meet on like a Wednesday. And then ran the 400, still hovered around like the 58 second mark. 800, I think my PR was like a 218 my senior year. And then again, we made it to states again that year and broke the school record. And 4x4, I remember we were off by 1, and I was the anchor, and I ended up like half elbowing a girl, like finishing, and then they were like, bye girl, you're DQ'd. So that was frustrating. I remember being so mad about that. But so yeah, high school season wraps up, 4x8 state. It was so fun. We got to go down to Columbus and race at the Ohio State Stadium. Again, inspiring. Summer training comes around. This might have to go into 2 parts. Like, no way. Anyways, summer training starts for cross country. And I remember I looked at the summer training packet that my coach sent me, and I was like, oh my God, like that's a lot. I was like, I've literally never done that in my life before. It was like tempos and repeats and early morning lifting and all the things, and we had to be at college like a week early before everyone else, and I was so intimidated. I remember thinking like, oh, like this is real. A pattern in my life is like ignorance is bliss, and I don't know, I'll just do what I'm told when I need to. So the summer though was spent training, and I remember I did my first 5-mile run at like 2 p.m. in the middle of July, and that was the first time I've ever ran like 5 miles consecutively before. Like I sometimes did for cross country, but honestly I walked a lot because I was like, oh, that's a lot. And it was at the time, I was like 5 miles, oh my God. And I did it, and it was, I probably still have the picture in like my iCloud somewhere of like the day I did this, because I remember exactly what I was wearing too. I was wearing gray spandex and like this little tight tank top and like a Nike like sports bra. I remember being so excited. I was like, heck yeah. It was after my friend's grad party. It was like July 27th or something. Yeah, but I did that. I was also dog sitting at the time. I was dog sitting my neighbors, had to run in between. Anyways, finished that, and I was like, oh, I think I can do this. So after that 5-mile run, I was like really motivated. I would often go to like the only hill in our little town, and I would do some hill repeats, and I was so pumped for the day that college started. And then college cross country season started, what was that, fall of 2018. Yeah, and again, I was nothing to write home about, and I did the typical freshman thing, and that's where I think like I did get slower slightly. I was really good in the beginning of the cross country season. I was great, and then by the time the end hit, I think I just like the freshman 15 hit, just because I was drinking a lot and like eating not great, in all honesty. Like I knew nothing about nutrition. I was like, I went to the dining hall every day and I would have like 7 meals. Don't even put me in a buffet. Like, do not. So at this point, if you have followed me, like my eating disorder didn't really taken into effect yet at all. I would say maybe like my second semester, because I noticed I gained weight and I felt really bad about myself. Like I'd weigh myself every single day of my freshman year of college. Like I remember my starting weight and what I ended the semester with, and I was like, like I remember thinking like, what happened? And at that point, you know, social media was a thing, but it wasn't like the algorithm was really feeding you like anything. It was just kind of the image I had within myself. I didn't like what I saw in the mirror. And I also didn't like the performance I was having on the track, and I felt bad. Like I didn't feel good. And so if I felt good, like that's one thing, but I felt awful. I remember feeling so bad, and I was just eating greasy food. Like my dinner every night was literally like 3 pieces of pizza, a brownie, and a cookie. Like, and then I would go to Sheetz at night and get donut holes. Like I wasn't eating great, like at all. Like not even remotely good. It's so funny looking back. Like my favorite days were Tuesday and Thursdays, because I'd go to the dining hall after physics, and I would oftentimes eat by myself so that I could just go up and get as many rounds as I want. And I would start off with an omelet, and then I would move on to the donuts, and then I would move on to, sometimes they'd be like serving almost lunch, and then I have like chicken fingers. It was a lot, guys. But my eating disorder also was kind of a thing like my senior year of high school in the spring. Like I remember I'd only have like a smoothie for lunch and then like a little thing for dinner, and my snack at night could only be like 6 peanut butter crackers, and I was like, that's it. And tomatoes and cucumbers for like a brunch, because I had like a weird schedule with like release and stuff, and like what? So anyways, and I remember like I lost weight, and I was like, oh, that's cool. I don't know why I thought that was cool, but I did. Anyways, we're back to my freshman year of college, and honestly, I'm gonna split this video up into my freshman year of college is gonna be the end, because my sophomore year of college is when like COVID hit, and like my ED really started my sophomore year. So I kind of like want to make those two things separate. So this is just going to be part 1 of my running career. And also I really want to eat dinner right now if I'm going to be 100% with everyone. But yeah, freshman year track season, indoor track season. I remember I was, you know, classified as like the 800 runner, middle distance runner. And I remember indoor was tough. Like we came back after winter break and the workouts were whooping my butt. We had some workouts over winter break that were like mile repeats, and I remember I did them all in like 7:10, and I thought that was amazing, because again, I was not feeling great in my body. I don't know. Like I just remember the day I did that repeat. And then I did some 200 repeats on the track during winter break, and it was tough. Like that was difficult. I remember I ran a 221 PR during indoor season freshman year, and I was pumped. I was like, I didn't even know I could do that anymore, in all honesty. I was feeling like kind of discouraged, just because again, like I wasn't feeling my best, so I wasn't performing my best either. And then freshman year outdoor season happened. Again, I think I ran a 224 outside, and that was my PR. Or maybe it was a 221 again, but most of the time I hovered around 224. I think there was a Mount Olive Invitational where I literally followed my 2 teammates, Casey and Maddie. Casey, Maddie, if you're watching this, love you, miss you. I hope you guys are both doing so well. But I remember I followed them the entire race, and to this day, like that was my favorite race of freshman year, because I felt so chill the entire time, and I was like, wow, that's amazing. We went to WVU for one of the races. It was so windy, and I did so bad at that race. I remember I think I walked almost. Like I had really bad shin splints, and I ended up running. I qualified for the conference meet for PSACs, and I didn't do well. I had a god awful red lipstick on. I'll never forget it, and blue nails. If you guys have heard me tell the stubby blue nail story over on TikTok, that was the stubby blue nail, and I repainted over it with like gold because the blue was like so bad. Oh my God, I'll never forget it, with my red lipstick. And I ran so bad at conference. I was like, God, but I was really motivated for summer because I was like, God, you felt awful all freshman year and you really committed to the bit of running collegiately. Like, girl, get your act together. Really dialed in. And that's where I'm gonna leave this video off. And then I'll go into my running story from summer of going into sophomore year on. Okay, everyone, it's the next day. I have decided to sit down and tell you kind of part 2 of this story. I just basically kind of needed a break. But we're gonna start from 2019. I think I left off at cross country. I don't know. But 2019, I left off in the summer. I didn't get to my sophomore year cross country season. So I was really locked in all summer for that sorry, just ate a yogurt. 2019 summer, I did all my workouts, my 800 repeats. Oof. And I remember I was a nanny that summer and I was like very locked in. I would go after work at like 6 o'clock to the track, do my workouts, do my runs. My mileage was like 30 miles a week, nothing crazy. I really focused on lifting. By the time that cross country season rolled around, I was very confident in my abilities. Again, I'm not breaking any records here. I think I was like 5th on the team-ish out of like the top 7. So I had so much fun though at every single workout. That cross country season was just perfect. 2019, like the sun, we ended up going to Denver for like a race, and it was just like that. When I think about my favorite year of running, it was sophomore year cross country season. 2019, before everything kind of went downhill, it was great. After cross country, I think we made it to regionals as a team and no nationals, but honestly, I was just happy to be there. Again, the moral of the story was I'm not gonna ever really break any records. I was pretty good. I was, you know, like I would say maybe a little bit above average, but I'm always just happy to be there. I think looking at college running now and seeing like how social media has taken effect on it, I would love to know how it is now. I really would. But heading into indoor season, I was so confident. I was like, I could do it. And my goal was to just break 220 in the 800. Again, I am not breaking records over here, everyone. Like 220 now and up below is nothing to write home about. Like in terms of how well high school performers are even doing and runners and stuff. But anyways, that was my goal. And I remember I wrote it down in a journal, like every single night, 10 times. I will break 220. I will break I visualized it. And it was at Kent State. I broke it all by myself. And that was like the last track meet before our PSAC, which is our conference meet. Conference, I don't think I did that great. Like I never do well at big meets. I just was always way too in my head. But I raced it. I think I did okay. I was really sick. Yeah, I was sick. We actually ended up winning the 4x8. Wow. It's so funny when you talk these things out loud. Like I totally forgot that we won the 4x8. So we won PSAC 4x8. Wow, I can't believe that I forgot that almost, like, until the recap. That was such a great moment. I was so happy. That was my main goal because if you won like a conference title, your picture got to go on the wall in the field house, and that was like my main goal my freshman year. I was like, I need to get on the wall. And I did. That was a good moment. And that was the week before, a couple weeks before March 13th, 2020. Which, you know, the world shut down. And, you know, we were told to go home. We were in Myrtle Beach for spring break with like the track team. There was like a track kind of invitational at Coastal Carolina University, which is in Myrtle Beach. And, you know, we just went down there as a team. It was so fun. What a fun week. Like if you ever have the opportunity to go somewhere like with your team in college, go. Like it's so fun. And I remember we all got sent home like the day of the race. They were like, peace out. College is shut down. You're going home. So we hopped back up on the bus, back up to Pennsylvania, Slippery Rock, and that was it. Like the next week was so weird. It was so weird. And no one knew what to do in that moment. And our coach like gave us a training plan, but was like, the NCAA, like we can't really like tell you to do it, but you should do it. And I don't know how long this is going to be for. It obviously ended up being, I swallowed a bug again. If you're ever looking for a bug, it's probably like either in my eye or I swallowed it. Anyways, until like the fall, we like came back, but we didn't. And within that time period, I fell into a really deep eating disorder, like anorexia to the max. Trigger warning. Let me preface that before I'm not going to dive into details today, but I lost like literally 50 pounds and I was running great. I want to be 100% transparent in this video because I really can't be transparent on other platforms just because of like guidelines and stuff. And obviously there's guidelines on here and I'm not going to like go into like the actual specifics of anything, but just saying like I was very deeply unhealthy. Like I was running so fast because I literally was so underfueled, but I felt awful. Like I can remember waking up in the fall of 2020, going out for like a workout, and we saw it to be like social distance and all the things, but it was awful. I felt so bad. Like I can't even describe the way I felt because to this day, it was like a bone. First off, I was freezing. So I was like chilled to the bone, but then it was such a deep bone, just like ache and like tiredness because I wasn't fueling myself. And I was expecting myself to run these 50-mile weeks and these made up workouts. Like my coach would give me a workout and then I would go out and do another one because I was like, that's not enough. Mind you, I could barely lift a 3-pound weight. I was so addicted to exercise at this point. And I had to take like an hour and a half walk after every meal. I constantly worked out. I did yogas during my Zoom classes, like just clinically insane things. And looking back, I think it was a sense of control. Like the world during that time was so uncontrolled that I was like, heck it, I'm gonna go do multiple walks. And I have stories for days that I can dive in deeper. But 2021 or 2020 cross country season, junior year, didn't exist because of COVID. But in the spring it did. So spring rolls around, I'm still deeply unwell. 2021 cross country spring season hopped on. And the only race I have ever won in my life was when I was so disordered, like so anorexic and unwell. I won my race. And to this day, I'm still kind of mad at it. Like first race back, everyone's together. It was at Cal U in Pennsylvania. And I think it was like a 5K. I don't even remember. But I won. And I remember passing the girls that would typically always pass me. And I was like, the hell? Like, okay. And I remember coming down the straightaway and I was like, I was not tired. And I was like, that's weird. Then the next week was our PSAC cross country race in like February or March. And it was so weird. And I also did very well at that. I got like top 5 or something. It was an insane place for me. And I was like, oh my God. And then literally after that cross country race, things went downhill. All of a sudden, I couldn't run a track race. I did run the track race, my worst race ever during the outdoor season. I ran a 5K in like 25 minutes or something nuts. And what made me so mad is my sister and everyone came to surprise me, and I basically was walking around the track like, okay. And all the workouts at that point, my stomach was in shambles. I was like having to run to the bathroom every single like 400 meters. It was awful. I knew I was sick at this point. I was like, okay, yeah, girl, like you knew you were like going down the wrong path with eating and fueling, but something's wrong now. Like there's a deeper issue at hand. So 2021, I came home from the summer. And my sister, I think I've shared this on other platforms. My sister kind of wrote out a list and she looked at me in the eyes and told me like, you're gonna die if you don't fix yourself. And she was like, so you're either gonna do this or you're gonna die. So I was like, oh, okay. So that summer I went like all in on eating. And I gained 40 pounds in the summer. And it's like, I was just at my normal weight and I felt good and I felt strong. And I go into that cross country season and within 2 weeks injured. I got a stress fracture in like my calf, my shin, like it was awful. So I was stuck on the elliptical and I ellipticaled like crazy. Came back towards the end of the season. Did I run a race? No, I never ran across. No, I ran like the first couple cross country races, but I didn't run past that. I was really upset. But at that point, like after COVID, I just was like, my run, like it's never going to be the same again. Like running in college and all the same, at least not until after I graduated. So I was bummed and I remember being really upset, but I was like, it is what it is. So I went into indoor and I was kind of just like so focused on like recovery and healing my relationship with food that I ran the mile at PSAC's outdoor or indoor. And I think I got like a 5:27. That number is stuck in my head. And I felt really heavy and gross and not good. And I ran like a couple 800s and stuff, but just never got back to where I was, like, in all honesty. And it was, looking back, it is kind of sad. I was kind of depressed, kind of just like, oh, what the hell? Like, I've gained all this weight. I feel weird. I don't know my body anymore. I'm bloated, but I know I need to recover. It was just a lot. And my performance was affected. But I still just like to run, like hobby jogger. I would run miles around campus, whatever. Senior year track season, I don't think I ran a race. I think maybe I ran one. But I was like kind of just really discouraged. My shin was having some weird flare-ups again. My hip, I was getting weird hip pain. And I can attribute all these random injuries throughout my senior year of college due to the fact that I was underfueled for a long time. And I get that. And that's all part of my own doing. But I will say I was disappointed in the way that I finished my college career. So I graduate college 2022. And I'm like, okay, I'm a certified hobby jogger. I went into the summer with like a random hip injury again. Like it was all my doing. So in July though, I was moving 12 hours away to South Carolina. Now as someone in a depressive, looking back with my glasses on, like moving 12 hours away when I was already depressed and feeling unsure of myself and a lack of confidence in my body and my skills, I moved down to South Carolina all by myself. I was like, yep, that's it. I'm just gonna completely escape my problems, control what I can control. I've always said I wanted to live in the South, so I took a teaching job near Hilton Head, South Carolina, and signed up for 8th grade teaching science. And I did student teaching with 8th grade. Like, I love that grade. So say what you want about middle school, love middle school. So I went down there. And summer running in South Carolina was not that fun in July. So I just quickly picked up like doing random miles throughout the day when I could. And I ended up doing pretty well. I, balanced that work-life balance with teaching and running. I would wake up early at first and I would go to Planet Fitness and run on the treadmill. But then I was like, well, I can just run around my apartment complex in the dark, which also wasn't that good. But you do what you can, I guess. In October of 2022, I ran my first like adult race. I ran a 10K and I think I got like 40-ish minutes. I thought that was pretty good. A couple weeks later, I did the Savannah Bridge Run and I got second place overall in my age group. And if you know, I did the double pump, which ended up being like 9.2 miles of a race. Sorry, that's my cat, sir. And second in my age group. And the double pump race was like, if you've ever been to Savannah, the Talma something bridge, no, maybe that's the Charleston. Anyways, there's like a very tall bridge. And you go up it, down it, around the city of Savannah, up it, down it again around like the convention center, and then you go up and down and finish in Savannah. So that's a double pump race. And I got second overall. It was intense. And I was super proud of myself. And then after that, I took like a couple of months off of just kind of running because it was like Thanksgiving and the holidays. And then my friend texted me one day and was like, oh, want to run the Hilton Head half marathon? And I was like, oh, sure, I guess. So I signed up for that one random day. Didn't really train for it. And I ended up running my goal was under 145. I got 144.14. And I was so happy, in all honesty. It was so tough. I went out so fast. I went out at like 6:50 pace and I just completely tanked by the end. I was like, okay. And I don't think I ran a race since that race. That was 2023. Haven't ran a race. I've basically just been hobby jogging now in between 2022 and 2024 fall, binge eating heavily. So that definitely kind of affected my running and just my love of running, because I was very unconfident in myself because of what I was doing just to my body with binge eating. Like, there were times where I would eat 2 boxes of pasta a night for 3 months. Times that I'd eat tubs of cottage cheese during the day, tubs of Greek yogurt, bags of Purely Elizabeth granola, bags of popcorn, 4 pounds of broccoli a day. Just insane works of food. 2024 fall, or 2023 in the fall was really bad for me binge eating. Same with 2024 in the winter months, like the beginning, January until like June. It was really bad. And I didn't really run that much, in all honesty, during those binge phases. I just did what I could, but I felt really gross in myself. Like, you know, you can find my vlogs on socials, and I probably did like 4 miles-ish a day. Ew, sorry. But it wasn't quality. I was just running because I think I felt bad about myself. Like, I felt gross. 2024 fall, which was this past fall because it's 2025 June, and I was like, I can't keep binge eating because I feel gross and just, ugh. So I stopped binge eating at this point. Also, by the way, I've dealt with a lot of random injuries since I graduated college. Again, all part of my own doing because of my history with food. So I can't blame anyone else but myself for when I get like these random pop-up injuries on like my calf, my quad, my foot. Like, I broke my foot really bad this past fall. It was awful. And I don't know, there's just been little lessons I've learned throughout the way, like, girl, eat, but also like, girl, take care of yourself. Like, whether I've been on that restrictive side of things, that anorexia side, feeling like so bad, but I've also been on the binge side of things and feeling so bad. And every single time when I look with my goggles on and I'm like, oh, it's a sense of control for me, like those relationships with food. So something I've really tried to work on since 2024 September, when I was like, you're done with binge eating, to now, is focusing on the things I can control and the healthy habits I do have. So I really picked up running when I moved back to Cleveland in February of 2025. So this past February, I ran, I think, like a total of 4 half marathons just by myself, just because I wanted to challenge myself and push myself, but maybe not necessarily pay $125 to push myself in like a race, because I also am balling on a budget. I ran, my half marathon PR now is 1:34, which amazing. I don't know, like, it's so crazy. Like, I went from 1:44 to 1:34. I shaved off 10 minutes, and I haven't really trained. I haven't done any tempos or 800s or anything crazy. It's just like me getting out there every day, showing up, being consistent, fueling my body. And that's something I've really learned heavily, is just showing up consistently working on strength training, working on your relationships with food and people, and surrounding yourself with a positive environment, positive people, and people that genuinely want your best interest. You will flourish. So my running journey now, what I really want to do and get into, which you might see on social media, is just to be the running influence, not the running influencer. I hate that term sometimes, but the person that you feel like you can confide in and not be like your typical runner Instagram and I do all these races and I fuel myself with gels. And it's like, no, sometimes Twizzlers will do, or like, yeah, I eat like 6 chocolate chip oat muffins every day, or I eat a bunch of energy balls before I run because I couldn't help myself. Like, just being open and real and honest. I don't know. That's the person I want to show up with on social media. And my first part is just telling my running journey and showing up and finally committing to the bit and talking to this camera. And I really like kind of just these sit downs, these kind of longer just talks. I really like to just listen to people talk, in all honesty. So that's what I want to provide for you guys. So that's what I did today, and I can definitely go into further detail on any of those statements, but I just wanted to give a quick background on my history of running, me as a runner, and kind of my accolades and some things I've learned along the way. So if you've stuck around to this point in the video, I love you guys so much, because that's insane that you've listened to me talk for this long. But I'm very grateful that you have, and I'm really happy that you're here. And if you're a new runner, a seasoned runner, a college runner, a high school runner, whoever you may be, I'm so happy that you get out there every day and you show up for yourself. And I also hope that you take those recovery and off days too. But I have a couple videos lined up that I'm really excited to chat about that have to deal with the running space, the recovery space a little bit. I don't want that to completely take up everything. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you liked this video, and happy running. And as always, as I always say, peace, love, and blessings. Go outside. Love you guys so much. Bye.